Hello.
Hi.
And welcome to the latest episode of The Peak and the Pit. I'm Jazz.
I'm Kat.
And that was a phone noise. Did everyone hear it?
Welcome to Mental Health Awareness Week, guys.
How are you? Are you okay? I hope everyone's checking in with the loved ones and people around them. It can be quite a tough week for people. So tonight's episode, we have a special guest, Coral and Paige, who are incredible women. They have an Instagram. Their Instagram handle is at itsokay.needtotalk. And they offer 24/7 support. They get back to every single person that writes to them. And I think they've become like friends to people. I think it's incredible what they've done. And I will champion their Instagram through and through. And they've got a little one that's joined them now. So that's even more exciting. They have dogs. It's a great Instagram.
Let's go and see what they've got to say.
So thank you for joining us, Paige and Coral. It's so lovely to see you. I've only ever looked at your Instagram. I've never seen you in person. So this is nice.
Having us.
Can I ask you firstly, what is your peak and pit of this week?
When you go first.
Oh no, I have already had a little think about it. My pit, my new puppy, not this little one, my new puppy has been really poorly this week, and we've only had him I think we had him 5 days before he got poorly. So that has been really, really testing because he's so little. He's only 10 weeks and he's lost a lot of weight and he's been really poorly, and also he is just exhausting in general. So he's lovely, but half nightmare, half really enjoyable.
Yeah.
So that's been my pit, him being so poorly. But my peak is when we make and sell jewellery and self-care packages. That's how we fund the running of our page. And every time I go to the post office at the moment, they have bags of jam donuts on sale at the till.
Brilliant.
Bear in mind, we go to the post office
Quite a lot
every day.
That's my peak of the week.
Nice, I like it. To be fair, that's a top peak.
My pit of the week is last night I just felt like rubbish for no reason. You just feel off and horrible. And I just went to bed early, put myself to bed early. You're in a bad mood with everyone for no reason. Everyone's getting on your nerves. I had a bit of a headache and it was just a bit rubbish. So that was my pit of the. I love that, pit and peak.
I do.
And my peak of the week was I was looking after my little furry nephew today, wasn't I?
Don't enjoy that.
He is hard work, but no, he's a little bundle of joy. Bless him. He's adorable. So yeah, that can be my
top. So obviously you have your Instagram, It's Okay Need to Talk, and I love that you reply to every single one of your messages that people send in. You've got quite a large following as well, so I can imagine how many messages you do get. Me and Kat always say it's so much easier to talk to a stranger sometimes.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and a lot of people say that to us as well, that it's so much easier because you're not worried about the effects that what you're saying is going to have on that person. They're offering you a listening ear.
And there's no judgment, is there?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Can you tell us the story behind it, why you started this? Why?
You can, because it's your baby.
So I started it 2 years ago, just because I haven't seen a service out there where you get a reply to every single message you send. There are a lot of text messaging services which are brilliant, which we recommend, but a lot of them you can't recontact within
some of the big ones that Shout, the text service that we're massive advocates for. Brilliant, but I think you can only contact once within 48 hours. Whereas we don't have any restrictions.
We've had some people who have spoken to us every single day since I started the page 2 years ago, and it doesn't matter how much they need to talk to us, what they want to talk about. You don't have to be struggling. You don't have to.
It's become what we thought might be sort of crisis support to loneliness
as well.
Company and just a chat.
Yeah, and you learn about their families, you know, so, do you know what I mean? It's
And
like,
people will get in touch after a few months and say, oh, you won't remember me. I'm like, we do. How's your dog?
Yeah.
We've been thinking
Oh,
about it.
so lovely. I can
Yeah.
imagine like you've become friends with people.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, it is like a little, well, quite a big family
It
now,
really
isn't it?
is.
Yeah.
It really is, especially when we have our lives and stuff. It's really, really nice. It's like very, very inclusive. But Paige actually set up the page after Mike from Love Island passed away. It's his 2-year anniversary. Genuinely, this is how Paige works. I was walking home from work and I worked 5 minutes from my house, and she texted me and said, I'm going to do this thing. And I was like, all right, Paige. Like, she's always going to do a thing. All right, darling. We just set up a cleaning business a week before.
Yeah, I do.
So I was like, yeah, all right, darling. Got home. I'm going to set up. It's taken off from there.
Yeah.
Hasn't
It's grown massively then in 2
it?
years.
It really has, yeah.
It is huge. Have you found it's like people have been getting in touch more now we're in lockdown?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And I really think you get like lots of trends where people say very similar things to you, and everyone thinks that they're on their own and they're the only one feeling it.
Yeah.
And no one's ever been through this before. We're all in a very similar situation. We all have different like advantages and disadvantages in our own lives, but we don't know what's going on. Like, no one's known. Hopefully when this goes out, things will be a little bit easier, but at the moment in March we still have a fair number of restrictions in England, and people are still processing
We're still
it.
learning, aren't we?
No one expected to be in this position a year on. No.
Definitely. Have any of you guys ever suffered from like any sort of mental illness or loneliness?
Yeah, so we had another reason for the page as well, was we had quite a traumatic childhood, which led to me having PTSD. And Coral, you're diagnosed as bipolar, aren't you?
Yeah.
And I've got like panic disorder. We suffer in different ways. Between us, there's not really anything that we haven't.
Yeah, we've got a lot of like unfortunate experience, but that can help with. There's very little that we haven't come across with people that we know.
And there's nothing we won't talk about either.
No, that nothing is off limits on the page. If we don't know about it, we look into it and we signpost to other services. Like, we're by no means experts, or we're not medically trained, but we do between us. Paige has got OCD. We both have anxiety disorder. My main issue is like depression and sort of withdrawal and a social anxiety when I'm poorly. Not poorly today, I feel good today, but and we're both in recovery from eating disorders. We have, we between us, we've like really sadly before Paige was born, my dad took his own life when we were little. So I think we've seen a lot of things that
and we're very honest about our bad days and our good days. We don't really. Sometimes on Instagram it can be a bit covered up, can't it, and look perfect all the time. And we try our very best to show that, because people see us as really bubbly, don't we? But and then when we do go on and we're a bit down or whatever, people are like, oh my god, like you have it as well. You know, I think
it's so important to see a reflection of you on social media or in the media. It's so important to see someone that you relate to, because even with pages that promote really positive mental health, which we're obviously all for and all behind, and share stuff all the time that we other accounts that we like and we think can help people, even with that going on, if you only see those positives and you don't see the negative aspects, and it's really important to know that if you're feeling like, one thing that I'm really, really bad at that doesn't ever get spoken about, doesn't on our page, but in general, is like when I'm having a bad time with depression, my self-care, my hygiene goes out the window. Like I won't wash my hair, I can't get out of bed, all those sorts of things that we have. As soon as I say anything like that on the page, we have so many people contact us like, thank you, like I think this is just me, because it's not glamorous and no one says it, but it's so normal.
I do think Instagram has a huge part to play in a lot of like young people's mental health, I think.
Absolutely.
But I'm a sucker for it. I sit on my phone and scroll and think, oh, why am I not doing that? Why are they having such a good time? Lockdown, they're doing loads in lockdown. I'm not doing anything. And I think it can be so damaging. Luckily, I'm quite like a strong person, so I just go, oh, whatever, like carry on, you do what you want. I'll carry on doing what I do. But for a young teenager, maybe it can be a lot.
And I think for parents in lockdown as well, that's been a really difficult thing. Parents contacting us like, this person's gone out for an hour-long walk and they put a stew in the slow cooker and they've come home and made banana bread. Like,
honestly,
that they are doing, but everyone has completely different experiences. Everyone is coming from a different position, and a lot of the people that contact us have chronic mental illness and chronic mental health issues. So you have to make allowances for yourself as you would someone that you love. Like if Paige was saying to me that she wasn't able to do something, I'd be like, well, of course you don't feel able to do that. You're in the middle of a pandemic. You've got these different diagnoses. You're having treatment. You need to be kinder to yourself. But then if I'm doing it, I'm like, Paige, I'm a failure. Can you, like, what am I doing wrong? So it's so hard to apply those things to yourself, isn't it? I think the more you surround yourself with people that are going to reflect that back at you, the easier it's going to be to feel well.
100%. How have you guys found having a mental illness going through a pandemic?
I think we have been really, really lucky because we have this support network that's never been one-sided. There's 40,000 of us at the moment, and we get so much positive feedback, so much kindness. So if we're not on there for a day, we have people checking in on us. We have an amazing support network, really supportive family. We both have access to therapy, and we both have a good relationship with our doctors. But I know that lots of people aren't that lucky, and that's why a massive part of what we do is signposting to other services that we know beneficial to people, like things that we've used or things that we've heard that are really, really helpful. How have you found it?
Not too bad. I think a problem with a lot of people who suffer with OCD, when there is a pandemic and everyone's telling you to constantly wash your hands and constantly don't touch your food and constantly all these things that I've been doing for years that I've been telling people, don't touch your food, don't buy it, and then suddenly it's on the news.
So one other question going back as well, how did you guys know that you had a mental illness, just for people that are watching that might have certain symptoms?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Well, I was like when we lost my dad, I didn't have therapy or anything. I just went straight back. My mum, bless her, I mean, no one could have coped in that situation, and she did what she thought was best for us, which was go. I think he died on Saturday. We went back to school on Monday. Like we went back to normal in as much as possible straight away. So I didn't have any sort of help or support until I was about 14, when I started to just feel really, really negative. I was self-harming. I had like lots of the signs that if you saw it in someone else, you would get help for them. So that's where mine came from, really.
Yeah, mine was noticed a lot younger, wasn't it? Because I had like
obsessive behaviours.
Yeah, from really young, from about 5. So it was sort of picked up earlier. But a lot of people do contact us and say, how do I know if I'm like anxious? Because being a human, people get anxious. And how do I know if that's then, an anxiety problem? I think it's when it's stopping you from doing things. Because everyone gets anxious, it's normal. But when it's stopping you from doing things, taking pleasure out of things for you.
Yeah, preventing you from doing things that you think you'd otherwise be able to do.
I think that.
But I think if you're feeling that you may have, you know yourself better than anybody else. If you're feeling different to usual, you're losing interest in things that you normally find pleasurable. If something is off, that's what your GP is there for. I know it can be so difficult to take that step and speak to someone. It hasn't got to be your GP initially. There's loads of services like our service where you can just say, look, I'm feeling this way, I need a chat. But that is what your GP is there for. There's no shame in it. We've always said about mental health treatment and mental health medication. I'd feel absolutely no shame if I had diabetes or cancer and I needed chemo. I wouldn't think, oh, well, how quickly can I get off it? And what am I going to tell people about it? Exactly.
I think touching on it though, there's a huge stigma around like mental health, and like if someone, I saw something online and it said if someone had broke their arm, everyone rushes to sign their cast.
100%.
But no one wants to talk to someone who is displaying signs of depression or self-harming or anything. People kind of panic and step away and go, oh no, I can't deal with that. And I think that is what then triggers people to go, oh well, I can't talk about it. It brings us back to the whole Piers Morgan thing, what he spoke about Meghan Markle the other day.
I know.
Yeah.
And straight away thinking you might have judgment on you if you say something, and is it better to be quiet and not put yourself in that position?
Anyway, like so many young people were watching that. To be fair, so many adults, because there's so many more adults coming forward now and going, oh, it's not really a taboo thing anymore. Like I can openly talk about how I feel. Because I think as a nation and as our generation is getting that bit older, it is being spoken about more. There's so much more awareness around mental health, which is amazing. But I know, like, even when I was at school, I'd like to think it wasn't that long ago, but there wasn't really anything.
No,
there was a lot less support. And you think back to my dad's time, I mean, he passed away 20 odd years ago, 28 years ago, and there was no help or support available like there is today, and you would never have spoken out to someone. But the good thing about what happened with Piers Morgan is it's showing that people are opening up those conversations, because the amount of people that rang in and said that's not okay, that's not good enough, people are picking up the phones and getting involved and saying, no, I'm not having this.
Whereas a few years ago that wouldn't have happened.
No, with someone with that much influence, it's so easy to be like,
it's good that we're challenging it.
It's so positive that people are saying, I'm not having my kids listen to that.
Yeah,
definitely. What's your tips to anyone that is struggling?
I definitely think we always say look after yourself like you'd look after a small child. When you're if you're feeling depressed or anxious, a lot of people are really hard on themselves, and the amount of people that go, oh, I just need to like get over it. There's other people that are so much worse off than me, don't
so damaging
all the time. I have no reason to feel like this. It can be a chemical imbalance in your brain, no different to any other illness. And you being hard on yourself is not gonna help you. You need to really look after yourself. Make sure you're eating, drinking, getting enough rest. We always say contact your GP if you're feeling if you feel like you're struggling, and know that there's help out there, there's people out there, there's people like me and Coral that are literally ready to sit and have a chat with you about how you're feeling. I know we're not the only ones. There's, like we say, there is Shout, Samaritans. There's so much help out there. And obviously, if you're ever in crisis or you feel like a danger to yourself or anyone else, then that's what 111 and 999 are there for, and they know what to do. We've had experience with that, haven't we? So definitely that. Anything else?
I would say try and talk to someone, no matter how difficult that might feel, to open up those conversations. One thing that a lot of our followers find a helpful tip is, maybe if you don't feel you can say it out loud, write it down, send a text, email, put something in writing, because it gives you a chance to process everything. You're less likely to sort of bottle it. Like if I was trying to say something out loud, I might leave out something that I didn't feel able to say, whereas if I'm writing it down, it's all in my control. And it also gives the other person a chance to process before they instantly say something that can be, that might not be what they would say if they'd had time to process it. And the other thing about speaking out to someone, I think, that is so important, is that everyone who feels this stigma with mental health thinks, I'm not going to tell them because I don't want, either I don't want them to worry about me, or I don't want them to judge me. So in your little circle of, say, you've got 4 friends, half of you will be feeling that way, or 10 of you, half of you will be feeling that way. And if you're all not talking about it with each other, you're all sat on that problem thinking, oh my God, I'm the only one, what am I going to do? Whereas if you open up and just, like, even just say as much as you feel comfortable with, there's never any pressure, like start small and see how you feel comfortable. You won't be the only one. You definitely won't be the only person who's feeling this way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Create a support network between each other.
Yeah, and it's as well, like we've just done our mental health first aid training, haven't we?
Yeah.
And realising the signs in someone else is really important, and just looking out for people if they're a bit, if you like, you can feel it sometimes when someone's off and you don't want to have that conversation. But even just being like, oh, do you know what? I've had a rubbish day. How's yours? Like, just, and if they go, fine, like, okay, well, like, I've noticed there's, so off, like, don't be afraid to say it, because 9 times out of 10, that person is sat there thinking, I wish someone would just ask me what's going on. I wish I could talk to someone.
And asking again and saying how are you really is so important. It's such a small thing, but our default is to say fine. Like if someone offers me a cup of tea, I say no straight away. Oh no, thank you. And 10 seconds later, I'm like, I would love a cup of tea. It's just my so British default. Like, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it's very similar. If somebody asks you how you are, I'm fine. And then you're actually, I've had a terrible day, but they're gone. So trying to be a little bit more open. It's difficult. I know it's difficult. I couldn't speak about mental health until Paige had this page and she needed some help with it. I shied away from it. The association of what happened to my dad, what happened with my dad, and my life, the stigma, the conversations that got shut down as soon as, like, saying someone's died is one thing, but people are interested in how someone's died. You do, it's natural. And as soon as you say, and I mean, I say car accident all the time, because as soon as you say suicide or they took their own life, that's it. Like, you might never speak to that person again. That's the room closes down.
Oh God. Like,
so I had that association talking about mental health until Paige was like, oh my God, I started this page and there were 300 people and now there's 15,000. Like, I need another person.
I need some help.
And it's helped me so much as well.
To how you are now.
Genuinely. No, it's been amazing.
Wow.
Lady, thank you so much. I'm like sat here with a big smile on my face. You've just like it's
been lovely. We haven't speaking.
It's so lovely that you speak so passionately and so honestly and so openly. And I know that there'll be people listening to the podcast and hopefully it can help them. Probably direct them to your page and they'll be chatting away to you.
We always like to meet new people on there.
We love it.
Always happy to help.
Yeah,
Thank
always.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on Mental Health Awareness Week. If you haven't already, then please do get yourself to our Instagram page at thepeakandthepit_podcast, where you'll find we've got a lovely little giveaway. What have we got, Kat?
We've got a meal and drinks at Red's True Barbecue and also a meal and drinks at Impossible Manchester. We've also got free cocktails at Smoke and Mirrors.
Can we win the giveaway?
I wish.
And do join us tomorrow where we'll speak to another amazing guest with another incredible story. If you have found something we've spoken about to be triggering, then there is a 24/7 mental health tech support line in the UK. All you need to do is text shout to 85258 and someone will be on hand to help you talk it through. I think that is exactly what we need to do. Sometimes you've just got to talk it through, haven't you, Kat?
Yeah, you do, absolutely. So do make sure that if you are struggling at the moment, reach out to someone or reach out to some of the services that we've mentioned.
Yeah, there are some incredible services and you will find a list of them. And I think one of our first ever Instagram posts, we listed all the services in the UK. So do just go and check them out if you feel that you need to speak to someone. Join us tomorrow, guys.
Yes, and make sure you tune in tomorrow to find out who we're speaking to next.